Hello, friends! It's me, Distracted Elf. Hi. How you doing? I hope you're doing good. We're here with whatever number of GM stream this is. A post-second episode of the actual show GM stream. I think marking it via the actual show is probably... Yeah, 9. Episode 9. Okay, thanks, Ginger. thanks for covering for me. Appreciate it. Yeah, so we're in the post second episode of the actual game. Stuff that our heroes did last episode, heroes quote unquote, was go out into the woods or out into the fungal jungle at the behest of our Utico contact and shoot a bunch of moonshiners, basically a bunch of fog shiners, and bring back their ident chips as proof of a bounty. There's also some great emotional moments in Madame Harani's especially from Zyle. There's some homesickness stuff, and I thought that was really good. As well as looking at Andrew's character, Mabel's situation with their fellow formerly Imperial droids abandoned on Vode. We also got the hook for 2 more adventures, basically. One of which is going to the overgrown Imperial surface buildings and looking for a sealed bunker that our little scavenger Bausak, the Jawa, believes has some cool stuff that they'd like to get their hands on in it. So that's and in trade for that they'll help oh my god, my brain. They'll help Omni repair the MC-18 and try and get it into a sort of functional state. So that's also a thing that they're going to want to look into. The other stuff that we've got on the go are our bounty hunter survivor, who we made last GM stream because we thought they might go and talk to him, Takeda Winterwind, the Ithorian. And the gym in general, which they haven't been to yet, but the way that Gabe said they were going to do this one first and then maybe go and talk to them suggests that maybe in this upcoming episode we will have a scene at the gym and get that sort of situated. We got to learn a little bit about the characters, and we got to have our first combat last session. I feel like the combats are going to get more fluid as we go. In the first one, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing. They're not sure exactly what they're doing. There's just a lot of randomness, and you may have noticed that I took it fairly easy because all I basically did to run the combat was roll 2 greens. All of my enemies were just rolling 2 greens into their shots, so we're only ever rolling 2 against 2 basically. When we were doing that, because I didn't have a fully functional character sheet for Trask and people. Something we might need to consider is statting out, because they took the flamethrower from Trask, the fungal jungle clearing device from Trask's body. So we may need to stat it in case they decide to use it as a weapon. And if they do, then we'll have to, consider that. They also got an E11. Which is, I believe, a blaster carbine. It might be a blaster rifle. I'll have to check. Which I should know the stats for. Before we, get all that sorted. So those are a couple items we need details for, but that's fine. We can sort that out. It's no problem. That's minor. Yeah, E11 is classic Stormtrooper issue. Yes, precisely. Malcariel, a standard Stormtrooper rifle. But they're small, so I always think of them as carbines. But I might be wrong. In terms of what the game classifies them as. which I will look up in my book. I haven't done a lot in between sessions this week. Sometimes I'm a flurry of activity between sessions. Sometimes I'm not. This week is one of those I'm not situations. Yeah, I guess we could look at it using Ogdudes. Let me grab my Ogdudes reference here. Character gen. Open it up. For those of you who don't know what Ogdudes is, it is a program available that has a bunch of like easy reference Star Wars related or Edge of the Empire / other games of the same system related stuff in it that makes things simple. Oh, I should probably be looking at the GM stuff. It's just an easy way for me to have a look at what I need and generate small stat cards when I need them. Stay a while and listen. Indeed. I hope you do. So the other thing that came up that we haven't fully fleshed out here, this is like the Ogdudes thing. I'm going to put it over here. The other thing we haven't fully fleshed out is my brain, Mongum's quest, because they went to talk to Mongum, who is now, exists in the world, and he's sort of like a labor union, guy, who is like anti-Yutiko, which is, something that needed to exist. We needed some anti-Yutiko situation. I look up the E11 and I get nothing. I imagine it's probably a blaster carbine, if I had to guess. Yeah, I mean, there was a great moment during the... Oh, here we go. E11. Oh no, that's the wrong E11. It's the wrong E11, guys. Sorry about all the bloops. These are my bloops. They're not your bloops. Yeah, I mean, there's the E11S, which is a sniper rifle, which is bigger than an E11, obviously. I'm looking for random stuff. It's fine. It doesn't matter. This is a small detail. But as I was saying, we have Mongum, whose quest we need to sort of figure out like what he wants, which I think would be great to do. Butt Prince had a couple of great suggestions in the ideas section of the Discord just before we started here. So some of the suggestions that Butt Prince had here, I'll just bring the Discord over. Boom, here we are in the Discord. Some of the suggestions that Butt Prince had for stuff that Mongum might want, Mongum / Union job ideas. Mongum is one of the NPCs that Butt Prince came up with, so, I want to take the ideas, take the suggestions. So there's the paper mill stuff, yeah, the anti-Yutiko, like, paper mill stuff. There's the abandoned droids, like, keeping them functioning. This will, like, definitely, clash with or supplement Mabel's obligation. There's kind of, like, a very Mabel-focused thing to anything to do with abandoned droids. Make sure that, like, people are supplied with appropriate gear because of the, like, fungalung being used by Yutiko as a means to control their employees. Make sure that workers get access to proper rebreathers. Look for research notes. Do a little sneaking around. That kind of stuff. Hire some, Seven Samurai style high-powered individuals, or attempt to convince the Red Fog Raiders that Yutiko's a bad bet in the long run. I like this one. I like the idea of, like, gather some badasses and maybe, like, create some anti-Yutiko sentiment. But then it's a matter of, like, what are we defending? For what reason? Like, all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's the Madame Harani angle where you try and get Madame Harani to go from neutral to Yutiko to anti-Yutiko. Find some evidence of misconduct by Yutiko or by their employees, that sort of thing. And yeah, the other thing is people were asking about translations and like the way that Star Wars does its alien languages and stuff. Like, because a Gamorrean generally doesn't have like the vocal cords to speak, Universal Basic. They are a squeaking, squealing sort of a species. Like in the same way that Wookiees can't speak Universal Basic because they just don't have like the vocal cords to do so. Can Gamorreans speak Common? All right. I mean, if they can, cool. That's great. But I'll finish my point anyway. The thing about doing languages in general is like it serves only to complicate my situation because I can't put subtitles on the screen. What I can say is they're speaking a different language, but you understand what they're saying because you speak whatever language, you know what I mean? Like if we'd had a Wookiee party member, I'd been like, everybody in the party speaks Kashyyykian. It would have been stupid if they didn't, that kind of stuff. So I have to eschew some of the like Star Wars-isms in terms of like language being an issue because it's difficult for me to GM that. It was the same with our little Jawa friend. Jawas usually don't. I mean, in Star Wars, we haven't seen them speak Basic. I'm sure they probably can. But it's just one of those things. I have to issue a little bit of like the language issue because otherwise I can't communicate well with the players. Like I could just sort of like do you get the general idea, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes as things progress. I sort of made the executive decision to just like let it be as is. Yeah, okay, so stuff that may come up in the next episode. The gym, which we've already fleshed out to a nice degree. I don't think we need to really worry about the gym. What we do need to worry about is what Takeda is going to tell Kryno about hunting the Fog Wardens. Like, about what they experienced, having been the only person to escape alive from going after Panakata, right? We need like a story or like a reason that they got away and that nobody else has. And it might just be like circumstances intervened, I was lucky, wildlife or a patrol or the environment in some way, like it's very easy to just be like, I got freaking lucky. And he can give some information about like where it was and sort of, but the information is going to be like fairly general, I think. It's going to be fairly general. The other thing we could do, is have him have escaped only because he made an agreement to like dissuade anyone else who wants to go after Panakata. Like you get to live, but you have to tell the others that like they shouldn't come after me, kind of thing. That might also be good as like a bit of a spooky thing, like they got sick of bounty hunters coming after them, and so they made a deal with this guy. Could be. Maybe he's a plant by the Wardens. I mean, maybe he was convinced out in the wilderness, convinced that he was wrong, and has in some way gained some sympathy for them. That's another idea. By the way, I thought it was best that background-wise we sit here in GM stream chilling in Madame Harani's, like we're all sitting around a table, discussing our plans. So enjoy the background. And of course, Aabria's been stolen away by the Red Fog Raiders, as the same as last week. So. Just need some sweet Frog Sinatra tunes. I dare not try for fear of copyright protection. Atmosphere is important. Yeah, we gotta be cozy here. We gotta be nice and cozy. I do think we'll need to sort of tighten our focus on Bree a little bit as well as an employee of Metamarani's. We haven't talked about many of the other employees like specifically. We've had some general sort of like vibes around them, but we haven't had like deep discussion with them. But Bree had this like emotional moment with Zyle, so we might need to sort of like give them a little more specific of a characterization in terms of like the way that I'm playing them or the way they might interact. But I also think that will come up sort of organically depending on what Zyle interacts with them about in the future. You know what I mean? So like I could write a bunch of stuff or we could look at a bunch of stuff, but I also think like it's the kind of thing I can improvise given the right set of questions or interrogation, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think, you know, for her it's kind of like work, right? But for Zyle it was like an emotional comfort, you know? Not like a I'm not really sure how I'll present it. But I think in the moment I will be able to figure it out better than like beforehand. I think the thing with Bree is that she probably does this kind of thing a lot, or they probably kind of do this thing a lot, where it's like they're like the customer has very specific needs, and Bree can fulfill any specific need, basically. So it's. I don't imagine for them it's particularly impactful. You know what I mean? Unless it is made specifically impactful for some reason. So I'll probably keep that in mind while we like move forward on it. Yeah, that feels sensible. I definitely think we need to get some Chiss Ascendancy stuff rolling. If only because I'd like to hint at the fact that they know where Zyle is. But I also feel like that will come up when the obligation is rolled and not really before then. You know what I mean? Like, I could bring it up, but it's very specifically like Zyle's obligation is that the Chiss Ascendancy will find them. If you know what I mean. So it yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's something to consider. The other thing we have to think about is Kryno's obligation is very much like a white whale obligation. Like the one that got away, the bounty that they chased and they didn't fulfill in the way that they wanted to, sort of thing. So like we have to think of like the specific person or thing or situation that like haunts Kryno, because I think Gabe will be open to the idea of me being like, you remember that thing that was a big deal to you? This is the person that was involved with that. You know what I mean? And just like presenting them that way, which I think will be great. Been busy for a while, but I'm working on something big and I hope you like it. Gonna share it in the Discord soon. Lord Siren, I am excited. Please do share it. I love sharing. Eyes emoji, indeed. Yeah, this one here. Didn't Gabe say he had something specific in mind? I'm gonna speak to Gabe about it because I'm not entirely sure, and it doesn't have to come up yet, so it's not something I have to worry about right now. I like the characterization of Andrew's. Sorry, my brain just like stops and then my tongue just like continues sometimes. I like the characterization of Andrew's Imperial droid friends. There's a lot of potential goodness there. I sort of characterized them when we were talking about it as wanting to go back to status quo. Like, many of the droids feel like they would be better off if the Empire, like, came back and they could take up their posts again and, like, do the things that they were programmed and meant to do. I think that's a sentiment that could change based on, influences and so forth, but, it feels like sensible, I think, mostly. If people make specific efforts to, like, change their views, I might do something about it, but right now it's fine as it is. Other stuff, we wrote Dalahan Killian, and he never came up. He never came up at all. Because the party don't care. I made him specifically in case the party cared about, like, whose kids they were, who this person that Jander was, like, working with was, and what they were doing, and why they were here, and, that kind of stuff. But the party was just like, whatever. So, he exists, we'll use him later. We'll put him in the backlog, and when they get off planet, maybe they'll have an encounter with the, Killian cruisers and imports. We got to use Bausak, which was last the party sort of didn't care about Jander either. It was great. Yeah, they didn't give a shit about Jander. They did ask for a quest and got a quest. The other thing is, like, that quest originally was I was gonna give it to them from Zala, but I felt like, unnamed aid was just as good in that situation because they really didn't care who they were talking to. So I just had it be like unnamed datapad lady, part of Jander's entourage at the time, which I think just sort of, like, worked fine. Smarmy looking jerk, I think. Yeah. But it's okay. We'll make them care eventually, or they won't care and things will spiral. Oh, you thought unnamed datapad lady was Zala? No. I would be much more descriptive were it Zala. 80% of GM work, players uninterested. Yeah, but that's okay. I don't mind. And also, like, many of you and whatever understand this because you've been GMs or players and you know how it goes, right? Like, us writing stuff doesn't necessarily mean it makes it in there. It's just like folks who are pitching stuff on the Discord. Just because you're writing it doesn't mean it'll make it in there, but, like, it's good to have in case we need it, So, like, the more we build, the more we have, the more we can use when we need to improvise, which I find super great. So I think the most pressing things are, one, Imperial Ruins. So the Empire had leftover stuff. That stuff has been overgrown by a vast margin. My desk just broke. Give me 1 second. Hang on. I just want to make sure the structural integrity of my desk is still sound. 1 sec. Okay, seems fine. Oh, seems okay. It's mostly a support piece anyway, and I use it as a footrest, so eventually it was gonna break. It's my bad. It's been breaking for a while, if you know what I mean. Okay. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, right, Imperial Ruins. So we've got to think about the kind of stuff that would have been taken, the kind of stuff that would have been left behind, what the interior of an overgrown Imperial Ruin looks like. We're talking about, like, high-tech, glass-ceilinged buildings that have been left to decay in the jungle. That sort of thing. I'm hoping to introduce a little bit of the Imperial mad science in the background, which I think will be really fun. A little bit of that spicy, a little bit of that spicy, like some big tubes full of liquid, or like esoteric plans that you find that are the designs to some kind of like new weapon or something like that, but you've only got like 1/5 of a piece. We can foreshadow the rancors, that kind of stuff. But the essential idea is that eventually they will be led to a door, like a bunker, that they'll have to get into, that has been properly sealed, and on the inside there will be no plant growth, there will be no overgrown whatever, there will be whatever is left in the bunker. And I haven't actually considered what they're going to find. Now, Bohusak has asked for a data chip that contains the flight records of Imperial ships during the time of their occupation of Vode, but I don't think that data chip is going to possess those. I think it's going to possess something very much more sophisticated for some reason, and Bohusak wants the valuable little data chip, And will the players look at what's on it? I don't know, but we should determine what it is, because the lie is probably not going to hold up. What I'm working on along those lines involves Imperial Ruins. Ooh, Lord Zirin. Ooh. I like hearing people are working on stuff that we're working around. There was also a few wonderful rollable tables that I have to give shout-outs to. Rowan Mist has been a rollable table generator. And one of them was the Imperial Ruins random encounters, D10 ruined encounters. Broken astromech droid, glowcap mushrooms at Zargler's early stage of life cycle, in a pool of dark water. Fully grown Zarglers, giant Venus flytrap, Vodian puffball mushroom, good times. Collapsing floors, malfunctioning security systems, garbage compactor overrun by Vodian flora, an empty armory, functional mouse droid fused to recharge station, for example. They also made a bunch of cheese pun mouse droid names, D30 cheese pun mouse droid names, submitted by various members of chat. You can see there's a bunch of submitted buys. But look at all these cheese puns. Aabria would be proud of you all. Cheddar, Swiss, Gouda, Brie, Roquefort, Havarti, just cheese, Colby. It's great. It's great. You guys are wonderful. You're doing great. But I thought I would just pull that up. So yeah, we need to consider what would our little Jawa friend actually want from an Imperial bunker, like an Imperial vault, like data vault. And what will the party find that they can keep or that may be interesting to them? For example, I thought about information regarding Mabel's former employer and that he is still alive somewhere. Might be like a good teaser, good tidbit, like that. The Imperial, mad scientist, the Imperial doctor, is still up in there somewhere. Yeah, the other thing might be droid pieces, like parts for the various droids that need them, back in Vode City, right? Like some kind of maintenance set or something that has all the proper, imperially metric coded or whatever, nuts and bolts that are so difficult to find for Imperial specific droids outside of their own armories. Bohusak wants access codes to a landed Star Destroyer somewhere on Vode. Ooh, I like the idea of there being a crashed adjudicator or something, somewhere on Vode that has been equally overgrown. but it's impossible to access because you can't. You need the codes to get to the good stuff, kind of thing. And what Bohusak wants is that salvage, and this is just a way to achieve that, right? And we can give it like the name of the Star Destroyer. I actually really like that. I think we might use that. I also like introducing Crash Star Destroyer because that's got all kinds of goodness wrapped up in it. Possibly. Yeah, speeder stuff, I think there's good possibilities for that as well. Some stuff that they might be able to find. I like the idea of there being, commemorative picture of the science team with Mabel holding the test tubes in the background, like these kinds of things like in the background of the like overgrown Imperial Ruin. I think that's really great. We definitely should have some of that kind of stuff. The other thing about anything super valuable on Vode is that it ends up being a competition. Oh, of course, Thraifidane. I mean, entering atmosphere for any reason would be a really, really bad situation for a Star Destroyer, generally. If doing it unwillingly. I mean, I know there are some scenes in Star Wars. Rogue One comes to mind where there's a Star Destroyer like right over Jeddah City. But like generally Star Destroyers don't do atmosphere re-entry very well. And when I say re-entry, I mean entry because they're made in zero grav. They're made in, drive yards or whatever. Good old Kuat drive yards. But yeah, so I think maybe that's what we do. So let me just like note some stuff down just so that I have like a brief reference. Not that I will forget Crash Star Destroyer, but you know what I mean. Like we've got Lost Noble, we've got Combating the Fog. We wrote those down. Let's write down a little step by step here. We'll call this Imperial Ruins. And we'll make sure we know it's from Bohusak. Move it over here. And then give us some space. We'll do like Bohusak offers the party the opportunity to retrieve a specific data chip from a sealed Imperial vault. If they do so, he's willing to provide a great head start to the repairing of Omni's MC-18 with scrap from his scrapyard on the button. Oh, idea. I mean, tell it to me. Tell it to me. I want to hear it. Oh, definitely. I'm tempted to provide something like that anyway, but Prince. Bohusak suggests that the data chip possesses the flight plans of the Imperial ships landing and departing from Vode during their occupation of the planet. This is only half true. And only half the reason. What the data chip actually has on it is the locational data and access codes for what class of Star Destroyer? I said Adjudicator, but I think that's a title rather than. Let me look up my Star Destroyers. Star Destroyer. Okay, well, yeah, Imperial class, Venator class. I think Imperial class are the smallest. Could be wrong. Oh no, Venators are the smaller ones. But they're generally replaced by Imperial class during the Empire, because Venators are like the old Republic style. The old Republic style ones. Let's roll with Imperial class. Imperial class Star Destroyers are great. Let's do that. What? Okay, guys, here's the fun part. Name this Star Destroyer. Name this Star Destroyer. Star Destroyers always have the greatest names. They're always like, they're always like super, what do you call it? Super nasty sounding, like the Vehement, or the Adjudicator, or oh my god, my brain is not coming up with good names, but they're always called like ridiculous like adjectives. The Relentless is a pretty good one. ISS or whatever, Relentless, or INS, Imperial Navy. I don't remember. I am the worst. The Indomitable. The Tarask. Tarask is pretty good. The Maledictor. The Sunderer. Look at these adjectives. The Indefatigable. Yeah, the Defenestrator. Yeah. Star Destroyers are always named such ridiculous, like, dramatic shit. Paleon had a really good one, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the name, but Let's do the Sunderer. I kind of like that. We'll just call it Crashed Imperial Star Destroyer Sunderer. I'll name it Windows Vista because it crashed. Yeah. No, we'll name it Sunderer. I like that. Because if they just get the word Sunderer, they might get some other idea of like what it might be, because the idea is that like the data chip is going to be like encoded. They can get the name if they look at it. They can get the name off of it. They can get like the classification off of it, but they can't get like a better what do you call it, like a better sort of like read of it unless they get like good slicing. Is my plan. I mean, of course, Bohusak is capable of slicing it. Of course, much of the Star Destroyer is completely destroyed. Just wreckage that has been overgrown. You will never find it. But there are there are some pieces that Bostock knows the location of, and that this data chip will possess, like, you know, other notes about, that will be helpful for salvaging. You know, we get those great shots in Force Awakens of like crashed Star Destroyers and like massive smashed up shit on Jakku, right? Imagine that, but then put a fungal jungle over it, right? That sounds awesome. Big crashed Star Destroyer. Hell yeah. Can't think of a more Star Warsy thing. I like it. So the data chip actually has on its locational data and access codes for crashed Imperial Star Destroyer Sunderer. But what we need to do is talk about the ruins, because like this is all good setup. We're setting up for future. That's good. We're setting up for like, do you know about the Star Destroyer? Are you gonna check it out? Is there a reason to check it out? Who else is there checking it out? You know what I mean? Like various other. This is the cheese. Yeah, this is the cheese. Now we make the maze. You know, we got to think about the Imperial Ruins. Vindicator. Are we still naming things, Chief Hef? I feel like Vindicator is one that is used. Also, I had to look up what a Paleon Star Destroyer was called because I couldn't remember in the Legends canon, and it's Harbinger. The ISD Harbinger, and yeah, it's ISD Imperial Star Destroyer. So it should be ISD Sunderer, but I'll leave that off. All right, so what are our threats for ruins delving? This is a great question. What are our threats for ruins delving? So my immediate thought, obviously, is hostile plant life, right? Overgrowth and hostile plant life, because I don't think all the mushrooms are particularly helpful. And yeah, we'll definitely do. I definitely think you're right, Bud Prince. Like, turn the generators on, but then the gun turrets activate is another really great like trope that we should definitely use. I like that definitely. So, but let's try and take it a little bit procedurally so that we have like a step by step. So they get there. Are there any problems at the door? I think describing the building is important. The like overgrown, you know, remnants of like Imperial brutalist architecture, you know, covered in vines and moss and mushrooms. I think there's probably a lot of slime slipper activity around here because I imagine like the deeper, wetter parts are good for slime slipper matriarchs. I definitely think we want to have some like submerged portions, you know, like window, that kind of thing. Would be cool. Do a little bit of like water stuff. They have rebreathers already, so breathing underwater will not be a problem. Because they already have like a sealed breathing device. I wonder if we want to do like difficulty entering via sort of like an like, you know, stuff trying to stop them, basically. Like a sort of athletics check to get through, like smashing their way through whatever like vines are trying to stop them, or overgrowth, just in general. Might be good. I mean, I'm gonna roll on the wild threat table, just like generally, but Prince, when we roll through wilderness based on survival checks is my like, you know, is my sort of like game plan. Speaking of, we should add the wilds table to the actual tables, because I've been like scrolling back up to find it in the rollable tables section rather than just adding it to my tables, which is no good. It's another Rowan Mist rollable table that I haven't integrated. Let me grab it. So we have yeah, there we go. And this is Vodian Wilderness. Random table. D12. There we go. Add that one in there. Boom. It's a good D12 because it's like some stuff that's not threatening at all, some stuff that would be, some stuff that's very threatening, you know, like it's all dependent on their survival check, basically. I definitely think there's merit to like some dead scavenger being in there somewhere unoriginal, for sure. Put some skeleton with some fruiting bodies already springing from it. You know, that would be a good maybe a good move. Rebreather off to the side, rotted gear. I can't imagine like many things survive untended to in the like humidity and wetness of the Vodian atmosphere in general. Like the fog is like a really nasty sort of like degenerative thing for like inanimate objects and like organic matter. Climb an elevator shaft. I love it. That's another like just like wonderful trope sort of thing. I think like the entrance, let's just type some stuff out. The entrance to the ruins is through a broken glass panel that a giant mushroom has sprouted through. The door itself seems pretty solid, and if there wasn't this alternate entry, you'd probably need tools to get through it. A welding torch, at least. Though it's overgrown. Let's say, like, once they enter, the foyer is full of dark, ankle-deep water that's clearly dripped in from above and mixed a little with some of the strange mushroom goo that drips off of the caps, because we do have that in the art. Let me look at the drippy mushroom goo. Look, it's drippy. Around the room, in the water, are a bunch of bioluminescent mushroom sprouts. Nascent zarglers. Maybe if they take too long, the zarglers will have hatched when they come back. The water is dark and impossible to see into. Making watching where you step a big problem when it comes to how deep it might get underneath. Once they make it through the water, there is a dark hallway that leads deeper into the structure. Several small office rooms branch off of it, and in each of them is something weird or you know, like Vodian jungle threatening. You know, we're talking like you get into the hallway, you've still got like water up to like the top of your feet. It's just like kind of deep in the foyer, but it evens out here, and you're trudging through this like dark water, or not trudging at that point, but like stepping through this dark puddle. And you're leaning in and you're looking into the various like rooms on either side of you as you go down this hall. And in the rooms there are things like a strange pod that looks like it's about to burst at any moment, like throbbing in a weird way in like one of the corners, or you know, like a cluster of slime slippers all gathered around a really big slime slipper who seems to be almost asleep, you know, hidden down in there, or just the whole room is covered in bioluminescent mushrooms in a way that suggests they've just carpeted the entirety of the place, and it leaks out of the room and like into the hallway a little. Is a visual map something to consider, no matter how basic? I mean, we could draw something real quick. Shall we? Let's. Time for some crappy elf drawings. Bum ba da ba. Yeah, we're gonna put a slime slipper matriarch in there for sure. Big ol' about to burst slime slipper matriarch. Okay, so let's do some drawings. I want lines. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Not that. Okay, so I'm gonna try and draw over here on this side so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. So if we have like a foyer, right? And the PCs enter sort of like through the roof where there's like a little bit of a skylight. They come down through here, right? So they like climb up on top of the building because the door is like impenetrable, but a mushroom is like grown out through the roof. So they enter through the roof. And then it's a foyer, so there's probably like a desk, you know, some kind of like imperial desk. And like really old descriptive plate of like the directions, or like, you know, level 1A, doctor whatever, level 2B, like science department, level 3B, you know, weapons testing facility, and it's like all overgrown, and they could like wipe it off and see what's there, maybe, if they wanted to, right? Is this helpful? I don't know if this is helpful. So there's a big door, like, okay, cool. No, I don't want you to make a square. I want you to do another line. Stamp. Okay. So there's like a big door that is like sealed kind of here. This is Elf Draws a Shitty Map time. And then past the desk there is like a hallway. Oh. Right? And all of this is like sort of sunken in, like calf height black water that is like dripped in through the ceiling, Bad smell, bad time, probably very stagnant feeling. You move into the hallway, and then there's like a couple of, small offices that would have been like secretarial or, like in some way connected to the like main administration of the building. If you were coming to like do some paperwork or something like that, like these very like accessible, like just through the hallway offices. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, rusted up. It's real nasty. Maybe like four or so of these. And then there would be a sort of like a slight opening into like banks of elevators, I think. If I were the designer, and I am, it would be like a slight opening into sort of banks of elevators, none of which are operational, but you have your like office building kind of like vibe, with sort of like your I'm not a good drawer, as one might imagine. And so if this is the highest level, the elevator shafts go down deep into the darkness. And I think navigating those elevator shafts will be an interesting experience for our players. And we'll see if they can climb. How many levels do we want this place to have? Because like if they explore it level by level, then there's a lot more we have to do. Some of it may be inaccessible, like the elevator doors are like shut or welded or something. I think if they make it to the bottom of the elevator shaft, we can put like a body down there, if you know what I mean, or something, like some other scavenger who had a little trip and fall down the old elevator shaft. Something I'm also thinking we might want to do is, if we put a door here in the elevator section, what we can do is we can have like a welded hole in it. Like the door is still closed, but someone has like cut a welded hole in it, and that's how they can get through it. Rather than like, you were the first ones here, this is an untouched place. Like somebody else has been here and tried to do stuff and made it like, X amount of distance. There's like an old sort of like metal cut hole in the door. Yeah, or that's a good point. We could do it with like, these elevators are non-functional, but like this one is, and it's a welded like hole through the elevator shaft door. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's do it like that instead. So these ones are like non-functional, but then like this one has a welded hole in it. We'll put like a body at the bottom of the elevator shaft when it like fell in, when he was done. I think that's good. I mean, it's shaping up. It's shaping up okay. How do we want to connect this? Because if it's like a 4-story drop, if it's like a 4-story drop, then we could have like 2 non-functioning like elevator doors that they can't open, and the one at the bottom they can. Maybe. Yeah, Lord Zarin, post it. Do it. The reason I'm fleshing this place out is because I think we might have to go here this like coming session. And I need to know. I need to know what's in there. The other thing is we need to write what's on this sign. Out here. We need definitive sign value. There's a little bit of this. There is a fungally overgrown sign which denotes where one might go and to what floor for what purpose. Let's say like level 1 admin, level 2 testing facilities, level 3 what do we put on level 3? Level 3, interrogation. And level 4, and that's the level we're gonna get to, which would be data vault. I'm gonna have level 4 scratched out. Level 4 scratched out just for fun. It's indeterminable. You can't see what level 4 is. And then we're going to make level 4. Fun. Mushroom stress once they make it through the foyer, there are several administrative offices. Off to the sides of a hallway, in which there resides a slime slipper matriarch who won't bother them if they don't bother it. If they do, it bursts into hundreds of slime slippers. Which get everywhere. And what negative consequence can I levy and cause a ruckus of froggy singing? I like that. Slime sipper stress. Yeah, I'll just give them a bunch of stress. They're sneaking around in a place and a bunch of big noise has happened. When they make it to the end of the hall, there is a bank of elevators, all of them leading down, only one of which, one of the elevator shaft doors has been weld cut open, and if they make it to the bottom, they find the corpse of the person who did the welding, apparently having fallen through to their death. Okay. I'm just gonna save changes so that it's like ready. And I can re-edit it. There we go. So we need to make the bottom floor, the floor where things are gonna get nasty. I think we should probably do something like, okay, if we have the same bank of elevators, I'm just gonna move it over. Give the corpse loot, they will ask. I mean, there's gonna be a welding torch on it. And ratty heavy combat clothing. As well as stick of 200 Imperial credits and I don't know, a rebreather that's like broken from the fall. Probably. Fung lung crystals. Ooh, that's a good idea. Like, like growing out of his like throat or mouth or something. And yeah, climbing equipment that he failed to use. Okay. So if I want to draw this in the hollow of Langley Galloway greatest hits. Yeah, Langley Galloway greatest hits, obviously. The most valuable thing. So if we do like the same structure again, we end up with like they exit the elevator. They exit the elevator into like, an elevator receiving area. So the elevator's like here. So we'll put it like kind of here. The shaft is unmentioned. This connects to this. Just so everybody's aware of my map drawing skills. This connects to this. Okay, good, wonderful. I definitely think we do one of those things where there's like a long hallway that like goes around. That goes like around a like glass panel. Like this would all be glass panels like along here. Like all of this would be kind of like glass panels into like a bigger sort of like a laboratory-esque area. And then God, I can't draw a straight line to save my life, even with a straight line tool. It's actually impossible. And then it comes down over here. And we probably have like an entrance kind of over, I'm trying to show it to you guys because I realize my camera's kind of in the way. Have an entrance to the laboratory section kind of like over here. Like so. And this would like obviously connect. Like this. And then we've got to describe like how ruined are the glass section. I imagine they're all like kind of smashed out and gross. This place is still overrun. This isn't the lockdown portion yet. This is just like level 4 generally, which clearly has had access to the open air, which means it's had access to fungal growths because the elevator shaft opening right from the, you know what I mean? Like it's not sealed off. So I imagine it's like fairly overgrown. We'll put some like cool, like testing environment stuff over here. Maybe we put a Rancor sized cage in here somewhere. Something that Mabel can espouse on if they want to, when it comes to like Imperial testing facilities or something like that. That kind of thing. We'll do the whole like tables, like dilapidated like lab tables full of various like chemicals that have long since like bubbled over or like rotted out. Might be a good time to name the big Rancor or its designation. We should have like a bank of computers, that are like heavily overgrown, that the players could access if they wanted to. Like over here somewhere. And yeah, like maybe like a early design version of a fog condenser. Might be a good thing. Like just some general laboratory stuff. Which I think is pretty good. It's pretty good. So let's go back to the training. Find the corpse of the person who apparently fallen to their death. Making it to the 4th floor. They find themselves in a hallway, the glass paneled section of wall that looks into what must be a laboratory of some sort. Vibrant, neon colored mushrooms and fungi of all sorts carpet the area. In one of the corners, there is an overgrown cage. And the remnants of some very large bones. Several vats of weird colored liquid. Weirdly colored liquid. Dull in comparison to the vibrant surroundings. We'll add like several blaster burns are visible on the walls, as if there was some kind of struggle here at some point. And strewn across the table is the corpse of is another corpse who looks to be dressed in a similar fashion to the one in the elevator shaft. We might want to do something about the security systems here. Like we want to put like the gun turrets inactive on the ceiling covered in vines kind of thing. Like inactive security systems covered in moss and vines hang from the ceiling. The place is dark other than the mushrooms. Clearly unpowered. Something like that, you know? Weird mutated mushroom sounds cool. Yeah, I'm going to describe them as looking different to the ones outside because they've like absorbed whatever chemical spills, that kind of stuff. It's just like a weird environment for them. This whole part might have electrified fencing. I imagine it being in the glass, but Prince, like an electrified, you know, like if you broke the glass, you would hit like sort of an electrified field or something. So like when the power comes back on, those glass panels are like electrified and set the room on fire. The idea is that we want to make it a threat for them if they turn the power back on original poster. And since we're giving them a bunker door, to get through that is apparently sealed and that nobody has been able to get through, the idea is that maybe they figure out how to turn the power back on and like activate the door rather than trying to like cut through it. For example, I'm gonna put a third and final corpse by that door, basically like having, you know, scarred it with a welding tool to no avail, so to speak. I think that's probably what we do. And I think damage to that door probably maybe it's something to do with like damaging that door or touching that door in general, like activates the security system. What killed the two others? One died in the fall, and one got shot by his companion for, I'll get a bigger share of the treasure if you're dead. Once they got to the 4th floor, the guy was like, well, the bunker door's just over there. Goodbye. Blam. Then he goes to cut the door open and gets killed by the security system. That's my thought, anyway. Like, narratively. Mabel could communicate with the system to find out if there's a sealed area that's on a separate power source. Yeah. Okay. So, back to what we were doing, because this is visually helping me somewhat. So go down the elevator shaft, end up in this like laboratory section. There's this part. You can go in here and check this out. And then maybe the door is electrified. Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah. Then we need to, in theory, like move them to the actual bunker, which I believe would be like just down this hall somewhere. We can fill in the rest of this with our imagination. There's probably like more laboratory section. There's like more, you know, computer terminals and various other things. I don't want to get like too specific. Because like we can improvise based on their improvisation as well, what they think of and what they come up with. But so the bunker door I believe is down there, and yeah, what we'll do is it has some kind of security measure that attempts to deal with things that like cut into it, and it's on some kind of emergency power. Clear and powered. Further away down the hall. All is the bunker door the party needs to get through. There is a man with a cutting tool slumped up against it. Clearly dead. Electrified. Yeah, I think we can make a mechanics check like on some wiring to get things like reconnected. The generators are still running, but for some reason it's not connected to like this area. And if you can connect it, you could use the computer to open the door. Is like my thought. So it's like mechanics slicing, right? Like a combo mechanics slicing. Like you got to fix the wiring and like clear out some of the like overgrowth to get it done, and then you can use the computer to slice open the door like officially rather than trying to cut through it. That's my thought. We might want to put a combat encounter in the laboratory. Just as a thought, we could put like something nasty in there. I'm just trying to think, because like right now it's very like problem solving and not very shooting thingsy. Which like I want both. You know what I mean? I definitely think the Zarglers are going to be a problem on the way out in the foyer for sure. But I feel like we could. I want to do something with like the like messing with wildlife. Automated Imperial Defense Droid for turmoil and combat. Yeah, some kind of like really rust bucket Imperial droid that's like still active. That could definitely pull some heartstrings on Andrew's character though. Imperial droids still doing their duty is a big potential RP situation, rather than a shoot first, ask questions later. I mean, the security system in terms of like turret guns, would be an easy one. For when they turn the power back on, turret guns activate, start shooting. But I also like killer vines. Killer vines is pretty awesome. Like, yeah, the like weird chemicals have made some kind of like assassin vine style grabby. I'm tempted to have the security droid be in there anyway as like a role playing vector if the players get stuck. Like if Mabel can convince the security droid to like chill, maybe it knows how to like open the door. I like assassin vines. Inactive security systems covered in moss and vines hanging from the ceiling. The place is dark other than the mushrooms, clearly unpowered. If anyone gets too close to the turrets, the vines clung around them, spring to life, and try to grab at the characters. Big Venus flytrap mouths opening and becoming obvious. Yeah. I like that. I'm gonna use that for sure. We're definitely gonna use that. The Imperial droid thing I might throw in there if it feels like we could use a little bit of like pause RP. Why is Discord updating now? I need to share something. Fair. Okay. Let's just like forego a little bit of like the in between because I think some of this will rely on me improvising in the moment, like depending on what the characters decide to do or whatever. Omnomnia vines, exactly. Omnomnia vine. That's exactly a kind of Star Wars name though, making it a pun but also making it sound like an alien thing. I like that. We need to consider what is on the inside of the bunker. So, like, time passes, quote unquote. They open the bunker. Inside, they find. I think, like, a private office. Untouched. With a picture of the Imperial science staff having just made some kind of breakthrough or something. They all look cheerful. You know, we're sort of thinking like, you know, we're doing the whole like picture of authoritarian fascist assholes looking happy kind of vibe on the wall. I think that's a good like, you know, fantasy space Nazi addition to any environment. I definitely think Bacta is could be like a big thing. Yeah, like large functional Bacta tank. Empty. Empty of a body, but full of bacta. What else is in here? A functional data bank of computers and terminals with all sorts of possible records, though most are restricted. That's really valuable. Yeah, it'll be valuable to the right people for sure. A bacta tank is a big deal. Yeah, very, 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 very big deal. And if they can make a connection with a doctor in Vode City, and I have just the doctor, Butt Prince's Chadver fan doctor. We'll make that connection probably. If they like tell Madame Harani about it or something. How do you get it out, etc. Yeah, there's a lot of like, there's a bacta tank here, but like, how do we move it? And also, now that we've opened up this bunker, it is possible that wildlife will get in. Do we seal it up on our way out? You know what I mean? Like, there's like all that kind of stuff that becomes like a question. Change her name. It sounds too much like Mabel. I will. At your request. Functional data bank of computers and terminals. All sorts of possible records, though most are restricted without a proper access code. Mabel might have some sort of basic access, though not to anything top secret. The data chip they came for, that our boy Bo Usock wants, is also in here. Yeah, I mean, bacta in general is an incredibly valuable resource. You know, so the data chip, if they access it, will have the mentions of the Sunderer, so forth. Maybe the facility director was interested in the Forest Ruins. That'll be part of the basic records. If they access like, what was this laboratory doing, then you know we can start talking about the interests of the director and so forth. I can't make this laboratory the one that Mabel was in, because I actually think that would be a problem, because they would know more than I want them to know. You know what I mean? Like, if their boss worked here. Though if they look up their boss, I'm sure they can find, like, records of them still being alive. You know what I mean? This, like, Imperial Colonel or whatever that they worked for. Because I want to have that character available to me. Because I think it'll have some great catharsis when Mabel gets to tell them to go fuck themselves at some point, which we will get to, I'm sure. Cool hologram layout of Vode. Yeah, Vode, like a map of Vode. Map of Vode. Though the topography is a little outdated, and mapping the jungle is basically impossible. Are we gonna put like some physical items in here? Maybe some like Imperial, like a fancy Imperial rebreather, or like you know, fresh pressed uniform, or you know, like something like that, like something not like big or like, you know, we're not putting disruptor rifles or lightsabers in here, but like, you know, something like flavorful, or like several small flavorful things. Like if this is somebody's sort of like private, you know, top secret office. Like what is in there? I think droid parts is a good thing. Some stim packs, yeah. I think if Andrew asks about droid parts, we might find them elsewhere in the building. Because I don't know if you'd stash droid parts in your secret office. But I think we can get them. Tons of Imperial romance novels. I definitely think there's a salacious a shelf of salacious novels. Is always a good little tidbit. I'm gonna add that right away. You know. A small shelf of salacious novels near a neatly packed bunk. Drugs, since the system has many. I don't know. I don't know if this would be a booster blue, muon gold kind of situation. I think the picture's good. The books are good. Like binder of personal effects. And mementos. Yeah, that kind of thing. Like going back to the Clone War. I'm gonna put Rafe and I'm gonna put the plans for cybernetic parts for an incredibly large creature. Like a blueprint, you know what I mean? Like a physical blueprint. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I like the suggestions of like the canon character stuff like Thrawn would be really good for Xyle, like stuff with Palpatine or Vader or whatever. Like I love the suggestions, but I'm trying to move so that I'm not interfering with canon. I don't want a situation where Darth Vader could show up. You know what I mean? I mean, he's dead at this point. So is Palpatine. But I don't want a situation where like I have to worry about what actual Thrawn is actually doing now. You know what I mean? Because if you mess with those characters, people get all kinds of touchy, and I don't want to be the person to be like, you played Thrawn wrong. You know what I mean? I don't need that kind of pressure in my life. So we'll I might try and stay away from the canon characters, but I do like the photos. You know what I mean? The photo ideas for sure. I might add them if I'm feeling spicy during the actual session. You know what I mean? Actual fragment of Alderaan in display case. It's pretty intense. But I like this. The other thing, you know what? I'm just gonna like save this. We're gonna put it away for now. I think it's good. Basically, I think it's good. So we're gonna put that away for now. What I want to think about, just for a little bit, before we close it out, because I think we're getting close to that point, is our boy Takeda Winterwind and what he's gonna say about going to take on the bounty of Panakata, and what his suggestions or not suggestions for Kryno are. You know? I think that's an important conversation, because like if it comes up and I don't have like a thing ready, I think that's what do you want to achieve with this thread? So my hope was that they would go after Panakata. Panakata could convince them that like probably beat them in a fight, and then convince them that Yuriko is not doing things in their best interest. You know what I mean? In a a feat of unlikely mercy. Because I don't actually think they're going to be able to claim 100,000 credit bounty off of Panakata based on I've made her sound like a badass and I need her to be a badass. Like we're talking adversary 2-ish at least on Pana's stats. Like she's fucking cool and badass, right? Her first suggestion, don't do it. Yeah, I imagine Takada's first suggestion is like, you're an idiot if you think you can take them on. Like the Fog Wardens are way better than Yuriko makes them sound. But if you want to, this is where you should go. And then where you should go is a trap. And it's a trap to have a nice little conversation. And by a nice little conversation, I mean an ambush, followed by put down your weapons and listen to what we have to say. Kind of a situation. Might be a good way to do it. But I'm not sure that I want to do that immediately, because I'm not sure I want to bring the Fog Wardens and like Pana to the forefront right away. You know what I mean? I feel like they're a really cool like faction, but they like thrive in a little bit of mystery. They thrive in a little bit of like, there is a shadow watching you. You don't know what he wants. You don't know what they're doing. But like you spot movement in the jungle and you're not sure it was a person, but it could have been. Because there's also like the Fog Wardens thread when they head back towards the ruins. The Force ruins. I think mostly it'll be like a you don't want to do that kind of a conversation. Just to foreshadow that like it would be a really bad idea. Sort of thing. Like the conversation is more like, I managed to survive, but the 11 people before me didn't, you know? And the 2 people after me haven't come back yet. And he goes like, but if you're hell-bent on it, you can go to here. But, like, it's an old camp, and the wardens move around all the time. You know, like, there's no way that where he sends them is not a trap. Even if he doesn't know it. You know what I mean? Even if he doesn't know it. There's no way that what he says to them is not leading them into a trap, because the Fog Wardens are smarter than that. They're an elite force of survivalist badasses. You know what I mean? Like, that's... they're not gonna, like, leave information out in the open that people could like exploit. Serious question, will we get Gungans in this game? It's possible, but Gungans don't really travel very far. You know, it's like Jawas. I like Jawas, but we have one because I really like Jawas. I don't really like Gungans as much. Gungans don't tend to get further than Naboo very often. You know what I mean? They're not a big get on a spaceship and fly away kind of a species, from what I have seen or heard. But that's not to say we won't see them. It's very possible. You know, if you have a great idea, pitch me one. You know, and we'll see. Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree with you, Bud Prince. Like the idea is that we set up this like, cause like the 100,000 credit bounty already sets up like this person is a badass. And you know, when Keld said you're going after that, good fucking luck. You know what I mean? Like we already set up she's a badass. You know, if we keep getting stories of like Panakata will kick your fucking ass, then that's good. Like that's good. We want to set that up as like a, you know, you're going to be led in this direction, and that direction is not necessarily going to be good for your health. If you decide to do it now, it's like being a level 3 D&D character going after the level 10 enemy. It's just like not going to work, and I will have to figure out a way that you don't die if if I want to, depending on your choices, sort of thing. Is kind of my what do you call it? My setup. Yeah, on original poster, I've read the idea. I'm not necessarily going to use every detail that everybody writes about everything. Takeda Winter Wind may not come out exactly the way that you planned them to. It's just, it might not happen, Don't get too precious with the ideas. I have to use stuff, you know what I mean? And sometimes that stuff will just be convenient to me rather than like the in-depth backstory that some folks write about their NPCs, which I really appreciate, and like having that detail is awesome. But eventually I have to make a choice, and like move forward. And not every character can be like a central character of a story, if you know what I mean. And I don't imagine Takeda is going to have much more input than like having a conversation with Kryno, right? I take pieces of things and I rip them into little pieces and I put those pieces back together. And it doesn't always come out exactly the way that people plan. Yeah. And that's just collaboration in general, right? When you work with anybody, I'm in the unenviable position sometimes of being the person who has to make the choice about what's going to actually happen. You know what I mean? But it's one of those. I want to work with everybody and use everything that people are pitching, but some stuff doesn't make it. Some stuff is a little more complicated than I need. Some stuff is a little more detailed than I need. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how it goes. Generally, that backstory is great, and having that backstory in your head is super cool, but it may not be referenced at all, if you know what I mean. And this isn't me trying to. By the way, I'm just gonna say this right here. I adore our community and the like collaboration that we get into. And this isn't me saying don't suggest things, because holy hell, I need you to suggest things. I live on these suggestions. But like, yeah, there's a lot of, some people put a lot of effort, a lot of detail, and I just can't use that detail for NPCs. It's more of a, this is your PC in a campaign that you should play. Kind of a level of detail, Rafidane and I are working on a template for NPC submissions so that folks know like kind of what's expected or like what I might be able to use. But we haven't come to a final decision on like what that looks like yet. Because it's been a little bit like people don't know exactly what to expect, because we've got such a larger community than I expected. I know that sounds real. Let me take a moment to talk about how impressive we are. But we have slightly more larger community than I expected on the Discord. I can't be personally involved in every submission anymore, basically, to a certain degree. So we need to like template it out. Okay, where was I? What was I talking about? Bounty hunting. So yeah, I think, given a possibility, I think Panakata and the Fog Wardens, if Kryno decides to go after them anyway, like at this point in the game, I think it's gonna be a like, ambush, kick your ass, put down your weapon, like, listen to what I have to say. I'll let you go if you listen. Kind of a situation. I don't think Kryno is badass enough yet to really take on a regular Fog Warden, much less their commander. Like one-on-one, I imagine each Fog Warden is at least like rival level. There are no minion Fog Wardens. So they all act individually and do their own thing. They're not like ever collectively grouped in a combat, if there were a combat. So they're a little bit above the level of the PCs, but I also think that like, because we're running a game that is like more narrative and like more character based a little bit than some D&D like modules, because it's free for us to develop what we want. It's okay to have things the players can't beat in front of them, right? Like, the world is not necessarily fair, right? The world is not necessarily scaled to your power level, you know? If you run into a Rancor, you should probably run the hell away rather than, like, be like, oh, it's only a level 2 Rancor because I'm only level 2, you know what I mean? Like, kind of stuff. We're trying to make like a living system rather than like a scaled system, if you know what I mean. And it's up to me as the GM to sort of like creatively narrate in a way that makes it so the players know the stakes and they know the situation is dangerous, you know, and they know that they should be acting a certain way or doing a certain thing, and that's kind of my job to do that. If I falsely represent the danger and I say like, well, you can do it, then they can't, then that's bad, right? But I think telling all these stories about like, you're going after that bounty, that's a terrible idea, you know, is like reinforcing the badness. Which I think is good. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I need to make it more complicated than that. We could go into like, what are they going to say specifically, whatever, but I'm pretty sure I can improvise that as necessary at the time. Other stuff that we need to consider would be Mongum's quest. But I definitely think I like the idea of like, find some cool people and recruit them to our anti-Utico cause, and then we'll, you know, deal with them attacking one of our, or we'll deal with them trying to strong arm one of our logging camps or something. I think my style, Melkariel, when it comes to GMing, and I totally agree with you when you're saying, like, you're of the philosophy that it's okay to step outside the game and look at the players in the face and say, as your GM, I want you to know this will most likely kill you. Yeah, I think my style is very, like, I want you to know that I modified this so that you wouldn't die. You know what I mean? Or, like, with Rhyme, I did that all the time where I'm like, I want you to know that it actually does this, but I thought that was unfair, so I changed it. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with like talking out a game about the kind of system. But because we are generating everything from sort of ground up in this, it's up to me to make sure that it suits the situation or the framing. You know what I mean? But yeah, sometimes you do just have to be like, hey, players, you are not the center of the universe. I mean, you are like narratively, but you're not metaphorically, kind of thing. Excuse me. Yeah. I think Bud Prince had some good ideas for quest stuff for Mongum. I definitely think that like convincing Madame Harani that Utico is not good for her employees, for her establishment is a good angle. I also think that the idea of like Mongum knows the Union's lacking in raw power and that Utico has more than enough hired guns. Like recruit some, you know, Seven Samurai style badasses to help the Union like defend themselves against Utico, or the, you know, the Red Fog Raiders getting some kind of a involvement. I think I need to involve Squeaky because Squeaky is cool, and it would be great to have some dialogue with Squeaky, the Red Fog Raider diplomat, quote unquote. So we'll probably throw him in there if they want to talk more about like what Mongum wants. What I'm hoping is that they choose to do the Imperial Ruin this next game. We put a lot of thought into that, so I think that will take us the whole session to do, you know. If they decide to go that route. I think the talk with Takeda will be fairly all right. I think foreshadowing some we're foreshadowing future badness because we're talking about a Star Destroyer. We're talking about some like possible like more dangerous places to go. We're foreshadowing Fog Warden badness. We're foreshadowing potential like Utico badness. I think we're doing pretty well. I think we're doing pretty well, like situating ourselves to like move the narrative forward a little bit, at least for the players. And yeah, I think I'll shut her. Oh, I think I'll shut her down there. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. I think that's a good place. We drew a crappy map today, and and came up with some stuff. So let's call it there. I'm looking forward to the session tomorrow. I hope you will all join in. And join me for that at 1 p.m. PST. Right here on Roll20 app. I'll see if I can get I drew a crappy map today in the description. I mean, feel free. And maybe we'll draw more crappy maps in the future. The great thing about those kinds of maps is the players will never see them, but you and we get to visually sort of like identify the space and can then narrate it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Which I think is good. Okay, tomorrow 1 p.m. PST. Next episode 3 of Desperate Gamble. Check it out. Go do it. I'm doing my shoutouts now. By the way, that's what I'm doing. If you want to see more of me, you can go to twitch.tv/distractedelf or find me on Twitter @distractedelf, where I do streaming stuff. Recently, it's been lots of League of Legends. If you like watching me try and get better at a game that is incredibly more complicated than it looks on the surface. What else? Oh yeah, Roll20. If you like drawing crappy maps on virtual paper, you can do so if you sign up for Roll20 today. www.roll20.net. You don't even need colored pencils. You can just draw it with your mouse. Roll20. Drawing crappy maps on paper for free with no paper or pencils. I'm not good at these taglines. Dude, I'm just getting worse and worse as I go on trying to create these taglines. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one, my friends. Goodbye. Bye.